In this movie, Spectre, what you have is a movie entirely driven by Bond. He is on a mission from the very beginning. He is on the hunt, on the trail of somebody. You don't know why, you don't know what he's doing there. And that sense that something is up is also tied to the second part of a crucial story of Bond's childhood. So once that was clear, that those huge things were on the table, I felt like I had to do it. And action. And then on top of that, I felt like I'd initiated Rafe as M, Naomi as Moneypenny, and Ben Whishaw as Q, and I wanted to tell the next stage of their stories and develop them as characters much, much more. And in this movie, in a way, they help him, and they all, in different ways, risk their careers and risk their livelihoods. And I think what's interesting about what's happened post-Skyfall is Bond is the one who has more experience than they do. And I think he's got a greater wisdom, and that's very much what the movie's about. It's about whether or not to pursue the life he's always pursued, whether he matters, and is he going to continue or not. And you'll have to see the movie to find out whether he does.
We've 8 Aston Martins. These are bespoke, these have been specially built for this film.
We've got our hero Aston Martins, which are just pristine to show their beauty. And then we've got stunt Aston Martins, which are fully roll caged up.
I love the idea of this fantastic car being in a sort of one-on-one battle with another incredible car from Jaguar, which is similarly extraordinary, actually. So it's a cat and mouse game through the nighttime streets of Rome at great speed between two of the fastest cars in the world, neither of which you'll have ever seen before.
We completely shut down the streets of Rome. It's a scene where the hero of the film, Mr. Hinks, is chasing his evil nemesis, James Bond.
We have the Aston, which is obviously classic design, smooth, fast car. And then we have Hinks, who's a beast of a character in the beast of a car, which is the Jaguar CX-75.
It's amazing. It's one of those scenes that's going to be very iconic, I think. Just with the two cars racing through the streets of Rome. I mean, how often do you see that? It's one of those things you only see in a James Bond film.
She's a doctor, she's intelligent and very sensitive and human character.
She's an Italian widow with secrets, and her husband is killed, and she risks the same thing happening to her.
In Spectre, the two women who he hooks up with both have great mystery, they both have depths, and for that you need fantastic actresses. Action. And I just thought, well, Monica Bellucci, you know, makes sense in the story, makes sense with the ages of the characters we're dealing with, and she's a, you know, incredibly seductive presence in life and in the movie, and I'm thrilled she's in it.
James Bond is a part of cinema history, and I respect so much all the James Bond girls, because I think they are incredible actresses. And now we have Léa Seydoux. She's very beautiful and very talented, and she's a great James Bond girl.
Madeleine, who's the character that Léa Seydoux's playing, needed to be soulful, feisty, and complicated. And I think it's a pivotal relationship. So it probably couldn't have been a total newcomer, needed someone with a certain amount of life experience, maturity. And she's the sort of whole package, really.
I feel very lucky. I think I'm just working with amazing actors, amazing director, and it's been a great adventure.
Roll camera. All right, here we go.
The philosophy of the Bond franchise, and mine particularly as a filmmaker, is to do things for real. So you have to roll up your sleeves and work it out.
Coming into this film, Sam really upped the ante. We were just spread all over the place. You know, Ostrich, a massive special effects stunt sequence.
It's something that hasn't been done before, where we had 3 cars and planes. I think it's a great scene, and the audience love it.
We did all sorts of things in Mexico, big explosions, buildings collapsing.
It's a very complicated sequence. We have a lot of special effects and a lot of stunts. So when Daniel's on the rooftop, he's actually on a rooftop in Mexico City. When we have helicopters flying over the square and down the streets, it's a real helicopter actually doing the stunts.
And then there was Morocco, which was a huge sequence for us. I think it's certainly the biggest explosion I've ever done. It's a real roller coaster ride.
The tradition for Bond is always real stunts, real action, real explosions. There's nothing made in a computer, and that remains the case here. And so the ultimate goal is the kind of excitement, visceral excitement you can only get from live stunts.
All we kept thinking about for the whole process was what you said to me in our first meeting, which was we just want to write the greatest love song.
I've been here before.
It's really important that you have a song that matches the feeling and the tone of the film. And Sam Smith, we couldn't have picked anybody better.
I remember sending an email to my agents in America, probably the cockiest email in the world, and I just said, is there any way that I could do the Bond theme? The next thing I know, I was asked to go to Pinewood Studios and meet with Barbara and Sam.
I'm prepared for this.
He really took it very seriously. He got really into reading the script and talking to Sam, having many meetings with him. I think it will go down as being one of the greatest Bond songs in history.
What's amazing about a Bond song as good as yours is that it can actually help storytelling as well. And what's lovely about when you get a song early that you love, it starts talking back to the movie as well.
For me, the most timeless thing you can do outside of making your own records, in terms of film or anything, is Bond. It's the most timeless, classiest thing to me there is to do. So to be in a shortlist of something like that is unreal, but to do it, it just hasn't sunk in.
'Cause the writing's on the wall.
This is definitely going to be a big Bond moment.
We are hoping we're going to reach the Guinness Book of World Records as the biggest explosion ever in cinematic history.
We've got 8,140 litres of kerosene.
24 charges, each of which are a kilogram of high explosive.
Each explosion has a tiny microcomputer inside it, so it's really safe and really reliable.
4 hours out now from doing the explosion.
The adrenaline's starting to flow. We're getting to that point where the button is going to get pushed.
3, 2, 1, action!
And cut! All one shot. Come up the stairs, line of dialogue. Largest explosion in the history of movies. Exit frame, cut. It's a pretty significant time spent on the movie, and money spent on the movie has gone into those first 10 minutes. But it's the sort of thing that I want to see when I go and see a Bond movie. It's a vast sequence. It's not a chase, it's not linear. For me, it's the one time in the movie when you have the luxury of having the time to reel people in a little bit slowly. And also, on top of that, it's pure thrill.
Roll sound! And let's roll playback! And 3, 2, 1, action!
We had a very, very experienced crew who've seen it and done it all, and they were as thrilled as I was. I mean, they could see that this was something special. It's rare, you know, I've been doing this a while, I've seen quite a lot on these movies, but nothing as grand as that.
We're in Mexico City, and we're shooting the Day of the Dead, and it's absolutely amazing. We have over 1,000 extras, all in costume, huge puppets, musicians, dancers, and we're creating quite a scene here.
We were all standing there in the midst of all this, and we were all pinching ourselves and saying, isn't this unbelievable?
The people of Mexico has worked so hard to kind of make this all happen. We're so excited to see it. It's going to be the most amazing opening ever.
At the end of March, I've got main unit here for 4 days. Our foot chase then takes us back through this area. There's going to be some police activity there, some cars pulling up. Today we're here on our tech recce, which really has all of the departments coming together, everyone from costume to special effects and makeup, and everyone trying to just kind of figure out what we need to do here. The next part of the sequence is in the Grand Hotel, which is another location. It's a very complicated sequence, as opening sequences on Bond films tend to be. And the great thing about the Bond films is we try to do everything for real. So when Daniel's on the rooftop, he's actually on a rooftop in Mexico City. When we have helicopters flying over the square and down the streets, it's a real helicopter actually doing the stunts. So that's a huge challenge.
We've got a lot of work to do here. It's extremely exciting to be able to be standing here in such a historic place. There was a big search for what events in the world could we use, and when the Day of the Dead came up, I was extremely happy. But designing that whole sequence was a long, hard walk through Mexico City, you know, a lot of mileage on the ground, trying to find things, looking at, seeing how it's going to work.
Having scouted the rooftops, there are great camera positions all around the square.
Action!
The first 10 minutes has all these facets to it. Explosions, collapsing buildings, Bond trying to escape through a collapsing building. Then you go into a foot chase, and the foot chase takes you through shrines and dancers and crowds and all sorts of amazing things. And then into a square, and just at the point where you think it can't get any bigger, there's literally thousands of people in the square. And then it becomes this action sequence involving a helicopter, which has been a massive challenge.
We're really setting up the whole film here, so it's really exciting. We're here for quite some time, and it's going to be quite a number.
We went to Mexico and opened a workshop there, and with a huge workroom, and we had 60 people working, all young kids just coming out of art academy, extremely enthusiastic, and they knew their folklore much better than me, because I know about the Day of the Dead. Well, it is their culture, so I was very open about it. I told them, please tell me what I should know.
The Day of the Dead is a tradition that we really like in Mexico. It's really beautiful because when we were shooting, I was almost believing that I was there for real, you know, in the celebration, not in the movie. So that was very nice, especially for me, that I'm Mexican.
The Day of the Dead. It's a pre-Columbian tradition, and it's basically a celebration for your dead relatives. And basically what you do is every 2nd of November, you put up an altar in homes and squares and all around the country, and you put pictures of your dead loved ones, and you put candles and like the stuff that they would like the most, like their favorite dish, you would put them there. And the belief is that the souls of your dead come and enjoy those things for that night, and it's an amazing, amazing tradition.
I must say that the results are breathtaking. It was a good collaboration. It worked brilliantly.
We started here doing some samples, and I took them to London to show to Gianni and the whole costume department to see if we were in the correct line. And after that, we put together an amazing team of really creative people. Everything has been one by one created, like each jacket was created per person, the dresses, all the skeletons as well. Everyone should be really proud. But tomorrow we're dressing 1,500 and that's gonna be fun.
Preparing those 1,500 extras every day was a mammoth task because their wardrobe is part of the scene, and also the Day of the Dead makeup is very elaborate, and so that was quite an operation.
1,500 extras. It's quite unique now to do that in costume. With CGI these days you do no more than 5 or 6. The trick is to do that fast, so the theory is we should process a good 300 or 400 every 15 or 20 minutes.
The first ones are in the chair at 5, so we're going to be here at 4:30 just to make sure that everything's prepped, everything's ready to go. We get their number, that then corresponds to this fabulous room, this lovely room. They will get their bags, you'll have your continuity pictures, your hairpiece. So we then pass it to them, they grab it, walk through to this room, and I think there's about 170 hair and makeup artists in here? Yeah, all together. And then once they've finished a makeup or a free, then their red light goes on. Once they've been to makeup, they are going to come down here for hair. So again, with the red light, they'll be able to go and find somewhere to sit. They'll have their hair pieces, the pictures, we'll show you how to do it. And then we've got the task of collecting all of these sheets back up, make sure everyone's got the same number, with the same category. 1,500 for 10 days. It's totally going to work and totally going to be fine.
I couldn't be happier. It's the most incredible setup here. And the quality of work is amazing, and the collaboration between the Mexican makeup artists and the English makeup artists is just phenomenal. It's like they're pushing each other to go further than they've ever been before. It's just so exciting to see it. It's going to be the most visually exciting opening to a Bond, I think, ever.
I think the sheer number is quite daunting. It's a hell of a lot to get out. But the creative freedom in this has been amazing. And who wouldn't want to do Day of the Dead? To have it captured in a Bond film in an iconic opening scene is fantastic.
We've done all the dances. They've gone off. We did those first because they have to rehearse. And now we're just finishing up all the Day of the Dead crowd.
It's alright, it's not been too bad, it's okay.
Casual with your coffee.
Just casual. That's just a dolphin. It's totally fine.
I've never worked here before, I've never been here before. I think it's an amazing place. The costumes are extraordinary, the masks, it's amazing. And I think that everyone's been really excited by the amount of local hard work and craftsmanship and enthusiasm. It's really moving, you know, human endeavour to try and make a movie that everyone is proud to be in and proud to be involved in. I mean, it doesn't feel like a tourist version of Mexico, which is why it's so important you use local artists, local craftsmen, people with local eye and local knowledge.
We have 77 dancers and we make 3 different choreographies, and it's like an inspiration of our roots, but it's a mixture with a more contemporary view, because I feel like here in Mexico now we are in a moment that culturally and artistically we are having like a great time.
Okay guys, can we get the dancers in position please?
The most difficult is with the wheel dancers. The super crazy idea that Sam and me was speaking about. It's something really new. The whole idea, it's a dance from Oaxaca, but we adapt that dance, giving this avant-garde twist with the wheels and everything. It looks like they're floating, it's like a dream. So that's the most difficult costume of all of them, I think. But it's a nice challenge.
We've got 2 main locations, Tulsa Square and Zocalo Square. Tulsa here is where the opening sequence starts and they find their way to the entrance of the Grand Hotel. This is all obviously the way that Dennis, our designer, has envisaged it. Everything's big and great and colourful. In reality, the guys that have done all the work here, they do this year in, year out. And the floats you see, when we first came here in November, we couldn't actually see them because they were involved in parades themselves. So to be able to do it here and do it for real just makes my job so much easier, because it is what it is and it's correct.
Dennis Gassner's had 1,000 people working on the film in Mexico City just to make up all these props we use.
The artisans and craftsmen were fantastic, and they really appreciated what we were doing and wanted to make it as great as they could be, because it was their country and they wanted to see it on the screen.
The Mexicans were absolutely wonderful to work with. They responded really well and obviously passionate about displaying what their culture is invested in. It's never really been represented very well, like Mardi Gras, Brazilian Carnival, you know, it's all been a little bit under the radar, and so it was our turn to take that and bring it into the light of the world.
first 5 minutes of the sequence, we're attempting to do it in one shot, which I'm very excited about. I mean, with one shot, you're always having a debate with yourself, a slight dialogue with yourself, whether this is an act of vanity, you know. You're just doing it so people say, wow, it's one shot. But actually, I think for the atmosphere of the place, I wanted the audience to be dropped right into the middle of a very, very specific, very heady, rich environment. There's people thronging the streets, there's smells and sights and sounds and colour and life.
With musicians and dancers and Bond. It goes into a hotel and up an elevator and into a room and out onto a rooftop where you can see all of Mexico around you, all in one continuous take. There might be a few sleight of hand tricks here or there, but really today, you know, we're doing one-shot deals, which is really nice. You take a good 4 or 5 hours setting it up, rehearsing, getting it just right, and then you get the actors involved, and then you have the afternoon to kind of perfect the take. It's quite a challenge, but a fun challenge.
And 3, 2, 1, action!
We've just had Bond going through the crowd. He's now come up onto the roof, left his lovely young lady behind in the hotel room, and he's making his way down this rooftop to apprehend his villain.
Slow down, slow down, slow down.
It's a very complicated set, as you probably seeing in the background here. But getting it on film now is the key, and seeing Daniel in this situation is amazing.
Daniel was comfortable doing what he's doing because he was up on the edge of a rooftop, but he puts himself in the right mind for this. But obviously, you know, we are bang set in the middle of Mexico City, and Mexico City itself is very high. You know, you start running up in the stairs doing stuff, and you're out of breath and you can't figure out why. And obviously, you've got a crowd here all playing down below at the same time, so it's a big number to get right all at the same time.
1, 2, 3, 4.
We were working on the script 2 years ago, and something happened, and it started to snowball. And I think what happened was that we started getting the team together, like Dennis and Gary Powell and all the people who've been doing them for years. And that input drove everything forward because everybody had a desire to do a bigger and better movie. And everybody started pushing each other. And Sam would, I think, agree with me that he allowed all of them in very early on because he wanted their input. And I think the desire to go to more places, to get more texture and colour and atmosphere into the movie, more than we'd had in Skyfall because we were quite London-based. We wanted to sort of expand it, explode it. And once that started to happen, we suddenly felt, okay, we've got something.
As the Bond franchise developed in the late 60s and early 70s, this travelogue aspect arrived. And I wanted to get back to some of that old school glamour that you get from those fantastic otherworldly locations. And so I wanted to push it to extremes. I wanted to go to the highest peaks and the most dramatic alpine landscapes. Well, it doesn't get much more dramatic than 8,000 feet up in the Alps. I wanted to go to a great European city at night, deserted, with a history and an atmosphere of darkness and foreboding. Well, if you're dealing with 1920s, 1930s fascist architecture, we're better than Rome. And I wanted a great, magnificent festival in a huge city. Well, it doesn't get any bigger than Mexico City and Day of the Dead.
Stand by, please. Let's roll cameras.
Monday, we're crashing a helicopter. Wednesday, we're blowing out the whole front of the building. And I think Friday, we're collapsing a 4-story building with Bond in the middle of it. I love these big iconic moments. You know, to me, the engineering side of big rigs that we do are what really keeps me buzzing. I've got a really dedicated bunch of guys who work to their utmost limits to bring all this together and test it and make sure it works. And when I see it all working, that's what gives me a huge thrill.
We decided to do all of the collapse in UK, very controlled environment. But all the design team in my department, you know, we worked very hard at bringing something that was unique to that bit of the sequence. You know, I think we needed to have that along with the excitement of the carnival itself. But I thought it was a great scene in the end.
After an explosive device, everything changes. The style of the sequence changes, the way we shoot it changes, it becomes considerably more chaotic, and it climaxes with something I've never seen before, which is a fight in an out-of-control helicopter, which is spinning and twisting and corkscrewing and barrel rolling and plunging all over the place over this square, which is, of course, filled with people.
We started early in October to work with the stunt guy to find the choreography and what would be possible, what won't be possible to do. You have to start and do the fight very slow, like you dance. It's exactly the same thing. You go very slow, and then we speed up a little bit and speed up, and you work with the camera with We see what is good for that camera angle and that. It took a long time because it's a long process, because you have the real shot with a real helicopter on the middle of the city. And I think that's the very first time we have a fight inside an helicopter over a city like that.
The fight sequence, the planning of this has been going on for quite a few months, because first of all we had to figure out what we could do with a helicopter. We've got Chuck Aaron, who's a Red Bull pilot, probably one of the best aerobatic pilots in the world. So we got a lot of information off of him, what we could do with people inside, on the outside. We designed it, we rehearsed it numerous times on the ground. We've done the rehearsals at airports at low level, and then we brought it here and you're seeing what we've been rehearsing.
Chuck Aaron, an incredible stunt pilot who does amazing things with a Red Bull helicopter. And in this case, of course, it's not a Red Bull, it's a Baddies helicopter, but he is used to flying stunts, and it really shows. It's incredible.
Oh, this is awesome, man. This is one of the coolest things this is the coolest thing I've ever done.
What happened was someone at Bond saw me on YouTube and said, we want him in the next Bond movie, and then put this scene all around it. So it was pretty exciting for me to be asked. They actually called me up and said, Chuck, would you like to be in a Bond flick? I mean, how can you say no to that?
There are different ways of shooting certain sections. We're very high altitude here in Mexico City, and the thinner the air, the more difficult it is for helicopters to perform the kind of stunts I'm asking them to do. So we have to take it away and shoot it in another city, and then put the two together. So all those things have to be taken into consideration. The ultimate goal is the kind of excitement, visceral excitement, you can only get from live stunts.
We'll be doing some down in a city called Palenque, where I'll do the full Monty, we call it. Where I'll do real loops and barrel rolls and backflips and vertical climbs and vertical dives and just some awesome stuff that you don't ever see anywhere in a helicopter.
We've got 40 stunt guys mixed throughout the crowd just to sort of keep an eye out, because we have got a moving helicopter, it does land, so there is moving parts that we don't want people to get near.
The federal government have been hugely supportive, particularly to do with all our aerial permissions and access to many government buildings. And then the City of Mexico government, which we've sort of had twice weekly meetings with probably for about the last 4 months, with every authority you can imagine, from the people who look after the traffic lights, people who look after the trees, the traffic police, the general police. We've got so many people here helping and supporting us, without which it just wouldn't be possible. I don't know you could do this in many other cities in the world, that's for sure.
That's a wrap, everyone. That's a wrap. Thank you so much, everybody.
Bond has an international presence, and you feel it when you come here. You feel people's excitement, the crowds are out. I thought on the first day, we had an enormous shot, and people were sitting around in the streets until 5 in the afternoon doing the same thing over and over again. And I thought they would mutiny, and if anything, they got more enthusiastic as the day went on. And we had live musicians, and they just kept the crowd entertained, and there was a sense of party about it, which is what you want, but so rarely achieved on a movie set. To get that cumulative sense of excitement and momentum with hundreds of people all doing the same thing, it's really moving. I've been really touched by the whole place and the whole experience of being here.
We're here at the premiere of the Americas in Mexico City, surrounded by all the giant puppets and maquettes that we used when we shot the Day of the Dead sequence in the movie.
I'm excited for all the people who worked in the movie here in Mexico. They're going to see the film and they're going to be so proud.
We were welcomed so warmly and everybody worked so hard, and what Sam managed to pull together and what all the crew managed to pull together, I think is a really good way to start this film.
What can I say? I mean, I'm so happy to be here. It's so beautiful to see this warm atmosphere.
It is madness. I've never seen a movie premiere like this. It's totally overwhelming.
Mexico City was brilliant for us when we shot, and it's been amazing for us now. I think they feel an ownership of the movie, which they deserve to, frankly, because they did make a lot of it.
We had an amazing time filming here. It's one of the most integral parts of the film, the opening sequence. And just to bring it here just rounds everything off, and we can celebrate a little.